Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Bhad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Ashtotartha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Ashtotartha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Bhakti Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. And you have a phone where you can't use it. And Damodar, do you have anything? The verse?
It's a straightforward verse.
Why don't you just go over there and sit next to him? Narayana Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Hudiriyet. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Sorry. Nashta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering devotional service unto the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay, before we proceed, can I make one little request? Zachary, you sit here. Damodar, you sit there. That way you'll be ready. Is it okay? Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 9th day of June, 2019, in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 4 entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order. Chapter 13, Description of the Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Text number 10. Can you see? Everyone can see? Okay. Jadanda Badironmatta Mukatir Atan Mukakutir Atanmati Lakshita Patibhalanam Prasantar Chirivanalaha Jadanda Badironmatta Mukha Kutiratan Matihi Lakshita Patibhalanam Prasantar Chirivanalaha Jadanda Badiron Matta Mukha Kutiratan Matihi Lakshita Patibhalanam Prasantar Chirivanalaha Jadanda Badiron Matta Mukha Kutiratan Matihi Lakshita Patibhalanam Prasantar Chirivanalaha Jadanda Badiron Manta Mukha Kutiratan Matihi Lakshita Patibhalanam Prasantar Chirivanalaha Jadanda Badiron Matta Mukha Kutiratan Matihi Lakshita Patibhalanam Prasantar Chirivanalaha. Jada, foolish. Andha, blind. Badira, deaf. Unmatta, mad. Mukha, dumb, unable to speak. Akriti, appearance. Atat, not like that. Matihi, his intelligence. Lakshitaha, he was seen. Pati, on the road. Balanam, by the less intelligent. Prashanta, calmed. Archihi, with flames. Iva, like. Analaha, fire. Translation. Utkala appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad, although actually he was not so. He remained like fire covered with ashes, without blazing flames. Purport. In order to avoid contradiction, botheration, and unfavorable situations created by materialistic persons, a great saintly person like Jadabharat or Utkala remains silent. The less intelligent consider such saintly persons to be mad, deaf, or dumb. Factually, an advanced devotee avoids speaking with persons who are not in devotional life. But to those who are in devotional life, he speaks in friendship, and he speaks to the innocent for their enlightenment. For all practical purposes, the whole world is full of non-devotees, and so one kind of very advanced devotee is called bhajananandi. Those who are grossjanandi, however, preach to increase the number of devotees. But even such preachers also avoid opposing elements who are unfavorably disposed toward spiritual life. What's going on over there? Nothing. There's nothing in there. Go ahead. Half fill it, one way or the other. Half only. Okay, try to proceed. Om Jnana Timurandasya Jnanandana Salakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and to all members of Shri Parampara. So we're hearing further about the glorious descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, specifically his son Utkala. He had another son who actually took the throne. Utkala didn't, and he really didn't want to get entangled. Thank you. And so we've heard some other descriptions of him, that his actual internal state was very advanced. He was like on the Brahma-bhuta platform. He had already attained liberation from the bondage of the body by expansion of his knowledge of the Lord. He was in what is called nirvana. The word Brahma nirvana is used, which appears in fifth chapter a lot of the Bhagavad Gita. Situated in transcendental bliss, he continued always in that blissful existence, expanded more and more. This is possible for him by continuous practice of bhakti yoga, which is like fire because it burns away all dirty material things. He was thus situated in his constitutional position of self-realization, and he couldn't see anything else but the Supreme Lord, along with himself engaged in discharging devotional service. So that's his internal state, extremely advanced. But just like Jadabharata, he wanted to avoid entanglement. And so he played that he was foolish, deaf, mad, dumb, meaning he couldn't speak. And in this way, he wasn't bothered by ordinary people. Srila Prabhupada makes the point that devotees who are Goshtyanandi, he makes the difference between the Bhajananandi and Goshtyanandi. Bhajananandi means someone who has attained the bliss of Krishna consciousness just through bhajan, not through preaching. Generally, you find that the Babajis take that role. They just spend all their time in Radhakund chanting, hitting, 192 rounds sometimes or whatever. And they don't want to leave Vrindavan at all. And they stay there, the genuine Bhajananandis. But that's not so much what Lord Chaitanya was teaching, especially more modern followers. He wanted us to be Goshtyanandis, means to preach. And that's where he says, Yara Dekitarika Krishna Upadesh, that whoever you meet, whoever you see, speak to them about Krishna and teach them Krishna's teachings. And in this way become a guru and on my order and deliver this land. So that was his instructions, and Prabhupada in the purport, he makes it very, the point that this is the mood of the Krishna conscious movement. Now in that purport there's a very interesting statement where Prabhupada says, quoting Bhaktisiddhanta, one should not think that I am such an advanced devotee, I don't want to associate with these conditioned people and ruin my bhajan. One shouldn't think like that. One should know that if you're sincerely preaching, Krishna will protect your Krishna consciousness and enhance it, actually. And that's what we've found to be true. Those who try to just retire and go into seclusion can't really be part of this Krishna consciousness movement. Not unless one is in advanced age and so forth. It's time to retire to Vrindavan. There's a time for that. So really, there's a saying that a Goshtyanandi, a genuine Goshtyanandi, they're both Anandis, right? A Goshtyanandi is a Bhajananandi who preaches. So we saw with Prabhupada, he would sometimes reveal his bhajan. He would be singing the songs, chanting Hare Krishna, and he would reveal his inner state of pure love for Krishna. But following in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his sincere followers, such as his spiritual master Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others, he took the trouble to take Krishna consciousness to others, to give it to others. And in this way, he got even more mercy from Krishna. Especially in this age, it's very difficult to just go into the Bhajananandi stage. Because in ages gone by, it wasn't really practical to do much preaching. Certainly not widespread throughout the world. Maybe, one could stay in his village or city and do it like that. So it was known that one generally retires. Generally in the in the Vaishnav circles, they would retire to Vrindavan or something, become, just do bhajan. But Lord Chaitanya's movement especially, there must be that element of preaching. Otherwise, one cannot really honestly say he's a real follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, certainly not in the modern line. So this movement is built around bhajan and preaching. I mean, there's plenty of time for bhajan. This whole morning program is there. The evening is meant for that, although there's so many preaching programs in the evening. But and then you have the, you go on pilgrimage, and that's meant to be just pure Krishna consciousness. You're not expected to distribute books, although some people do that. You see it in Mayapur, can go on. But that's meant to be like a period of time that you spend in retreat, recharging your batteries. On a daily basis you do it, but even more when you go on pilgrimage. And Prabhupada spoke like this, to get fired up and more energy and more enthusiasm for preaching, giving Krishna consciousness out. And so in this sense, Harinam is the perfect, it's both. You go on Harinam, you're doing bhajan, but you're preaching at the same time. And you have a little book table there, they're also hearing, So this movement, you're never really supposed to stop your bhajan. I mean, it's supposed to go on internally, even when you're doing so many other things. So that's another aspect of it. So this Utkala, he was in the mood of Jada Bharat. He didn't want to take the throne, certainly, and he hardly even wanted to relate to anybody except devotees. Now Prabhupada does quote this verse, although he doesn't quote the Sanskrit, the verse about the Madhyama Adhikari. So it's worth reviewing that. Maybe then we can read the next verse. So in the 11th canto, the 9 Yogendras, the second lesson by the second Yogendra who speaks, the question was, how can I recognize different levels of devotees? And so he gives the definition of the Mahabhagavat, the Madhyama Adhikari, and the Kanishta. So let's see. Sarva bhuteshu yak pashed bhagavad bhavam atmana bhutani manasa bhutani. It's a Bhagavatotam, I think I missed one line there. It says one who sees everyone in God and sees God in everyone. And it's also understood who sees within everyone the ability to be a devotee. And another aspect of it, and sees everyone as a devotee except himself. This is another thing. He sees everyone as serving Krishna. Such as the Mahabhagavat. Now, Mahabhagavat, who sees that way, clearly is not going to preach because he sees everyone as a devotee except myself. So what am I going to tell? So to preach, they come down to the Madhyama platform, and that's the platform we should aspire for, especially. Ishwaretad arineshu balisheshu dvishattucha prema maitri kapopeksha yakaroti samadhyama. So the Madhyama Adhikari recognizes 4 different categories of entities. The first is the Lord, Ishware, to whom he tries to develop love, prema. The devotees of the Lord, who he tries to develop friendship. The innocent, who's innocent today? Relatively innocent, it tries to show compassion by giving them Krishna consciousness. And the out-and-out atheists, demons, blasphemers, he tries to avoid. So that's the platform of the preacher. And Prabhupada even makes that point. Even such preachers avoid opposing elements who are unfavorably disposed. That's the vishatsu, the envious. You don't waste your time trying, with them. Everyone knows, book distributor knows that if someone is an argumentative, you say, why waste your time? There could be so many innocent people who can get books, So that's practical. So that's the Gosjanandi tries to be on that platform of the Madhyama Adhikari, and in this way. Okay, I'm going to read another one. Matvatam jadam unmatam kula vridha samantrinaha vatsaram bhupatim chakur yaviyangsam brahme sutam. For this reason, the ministers and all the elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence and in fact mad. So he really put on a good front there. Thus his younger brother, Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, I guess this was another wife of Dhruva, was elevated to the royal throne, and he became king of the world. Purport. It appears that although there was monarchy, it was not at all autocracy. There were senior family members and ministers who could make changes and elect the proper person to the throne, although the throne could be occupied only by the royal family. In modern days also, wherever there is monarchy, sometimes the ministers and elderly members of the family select one member from the royal family to occupy the throne in preference to another. Hare Krishna. So, Vatsara has become king. Let's see what happens. King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Svarviti, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu, and Jai. Purport. Vatsara's wife is mentioned here as Ishta, which means worshipable. In other words, it appears that Vatsara's wife had all good qualities. For example, she was always very faithful and obedient and affectionate to her husband. She had all good qualities for managing household affairs. If both the husband and the wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children take birth, and thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. So just one note on this section of the Bhagavatam. As you probably noticed, the Bhagavatam is also a history, and periodically you get descriptions of, or even just names sometimes of the different generations of descendants. From Brahma, you have the first Swayambhuva Manu and all those, and then you learn about the descendants who especially embody bhakti, who call the incarnation of the Lord, you know. And then sometimes there's names that they don't say anything. It's just the names. And they're just giving you the different generations till they come to the personality that they're really aiming to speak about. And that goes on throughout the Bhagavatam. Because one of the things of every Purana is, Purana means ancient history, is meant to give an account, sometimes in great detail, some less detail, of the universe, of the history of the universe. And as Prabhupada points out in many places, and it's obvious, history means that you recount those events or personages who you think are important, who have a certain thing. In the West, in the materialistic side, I remember when we used to have American history or world history. We had both of those in high school. It all seemed to be wars, you know. That was what you're studying, different wars and how they affected things, you know, like that. So that's, you know, obviously very traumatic events, but they're hardly the most important events to teach us spiritually. Since we're reading the Bhagavat Purana here, all of the more the events that we stop on and the personalities that we hear about all have to do, they're all great devotees generally, or great demons who are conquered by devotees or conquered by Krishna, and they set up the appearance of Krishna. Either they pray for his appearance, or they themselves are Shaktivesha, or whatever like that. So that's what the Bhagavad Purana gives us, and it's meant to give us exemplary lives that we can emulate. So many teachings are coming through these great personalities. Or you find with the kings, like we're going to be reading about Prithu before long, because of the there's a story about Vena, you know, who was a bad seed, so to speak, from birth. He became a king, but they couldn't. He was incorrigible. That's the word, incorrigible is perfect. So the Brahmins got together and executed him by high-sounding words, by mantra, and then they purified his body. They churned, and the Shada came forth, and he had all of the sinful reactions of Vena, and they sent off to Africa or somewhere. And then the next they churned some more, and Prithu came out, and he was a great devotee, great king, Shaktivesha avatar, and Archie, his wife, was a goddess of fortune. And so we hear about Prithu, and then the Kumaras come down. He's so exalted, you know, they'll only visit, you know, very great kings or places, you know, so they come down and give the teachings, and we get the teachings in the fourth canto of the Kumaras. So this is what the Bhagavatam is, and here it's a little bit of a interval when we've just had Dhruva, which is a wonderfully instructive pastimes, And now we heard a little bit about his son, who was such a great devotee that he seemed to be mad. And then we're going to hear some more, and I think we're going to move into the story of Puranjan after a few verses. Or maybe it's the Chitraketu, not Chitraketu, the Prachanabarhi and his sons. Okay, any discussion on these points? We can keep going here. Yeah, go ahead.
What does it mean exactly that a Uttamahadikari comes down to a Madhyamahadikari?
It means that he doesn't literally come down, but he takes on the mentality. In other words, he sees in that way. He worships the Lord, and he makes friends with the devotees and relates to them. Tries to save the innocent, and as Prabhupada says in the purport here, basically avoids those who are out and out inimical and just cause disturbance. Although when Prabhupada first came, I've just been reading that Lilamrita, and New York was relatively staid, the 26th 2nd Avenue, although they did have some strange people staying in the temple sometimes. But when he went to get Haight-Ashbury, I mean, it was the height of the LSD madness and the hippies and everything. And that temple, people would come in. I was just reading, this one guy was yelling, I am God, in the middle of the kirtan, or the class. And Hayagriva was there, and he was wondering why didn't they throw him out? After they asked Mukunda and I forget who else was there, Shyamasundar maybe. Why didn't you throw him out? He said, "Oh, it's very delicate here. If you would have thrown him out, it would have caused a big stir on the street, and we'd have all these hippies and LSD people coming and banging on the door, making." So it was all a very tenuous situation. But and people like that would come all the time, and Prabhupada would handle them, calm them down somehow. You know what I mean? So there's no way of you didn't have a controlled environment there. It was somewhat controlled, but it was also open right on the street. They're giving out prasadam every day. People, many people can fit in there, 100 people in the temple and out on the street, and feeding, and then they just go away. So it was very fluid, but Prabhupada saw this is what's necessary because we're also giving Krishna, we're getting them to chant. That was the main thing. We're getting so many people to chant. Even they didn't know anything about anything, they would still chant. And many of them would just chant, and then when the lecture started, they would get up and walk away, or they would come back for prasadam, whatever. But it was a fertile ground. So many devotees were made, people were initiated, just by asking Prabhupada. They walk in the door, can I be initiated? You got to answer a couple of questions. Who is Krishna? God, and I think the 4 regs, and that was okay. You can be initiated tomorrow, So obviously these people got initiated, and then many of them just left, or you don't see them anymore, or maybe a couple of weeks they stayed, But then, then you also had your very serious devotees who then became the seed of preaching everywhere. And so Prabhupada on the Mahabhagavata platform, he came down and dealt with everybody in order for that one thing to happen, that he could impart Krishna consciousness. So that mood of sacrificing for spreading Krishna consciousness, that's really what the most valuable thing that he imparted to certain members, of the movement, is that they performed incredible feats. I mean, I listened to a lecture today. Every morning I hear Prabhupada, and he's saying how you cannot chant in Russia. They'll arrest you. And China, I've heard, has confirmed that if they find out you're chanting and preaching, then they'll shoot you. And it suddenly dawned on me. This was in the middle of the 70s. It was there was an opening that came after that. Now it's actually clamping down even more. It's clamping down again. But anyway, so then I realized, wow, Prabhupada sent Tamal Krishna Maharaj to China in 76 or 77, early 77, but he had this understanding: if you if you preach Krishna consciousness in China, they'll shoot you. But he had faith that somehow Tamal would do something, and worked out. He was preaching undercover, finding favorable people, gradually making inroads and eventually in like a needle out like a plow, you know. So it's that's what it means for it to come down, to just act on that level, you know. More, not so much Russia, but China, as they're clamping down. It's incredible what they're trying to do there. They're almost at the point of putting chips in babies, you know, so they can track you everywhere. They by your social media and everything, you know, you get social credits if you criticize the government, then you can't fly, you know, you have trouble getting a job. I mean, they're trying to actually do 1984, you know, with George Orwell. Have you ever heard about that? You know, where they control you, where they completely know what you're thinking, and, you know, it's insane. But somehow devotees are going on there. Huh? He doesn't go into China. He stops in China and then on his way to India. Oh, does he go? So he stays a few days? Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, I mean, it's not totally crazy, you know, because among the different religions, they like us, because we don't criticize. We're very careful not to criticize the government. All right, let's read a few more verses here. So I was just describing the descendants, and it'll set up the next class. Pushparna, who's Pushparna? 6 sons. Okay, this is sons of Vatsara, who's the son of Dhruva. Pushparna had 2 wives, Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had 3 sons named Pratar, Madhyandinam, and Sayam. Dosha had 3 sons, Pradosha, Nishita, and Vyushta. Vyushta's wife was named Pushkarini, and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja. It means his strength goes everywhere. Sarvateja's wife, Akuti, gave birth to a son named Chakshush, who became the 6th Manu at the end of the Manu millennium. Nadvala, the wife of Chakshush Manu, gave birth to the following faultless sons: Puru, Kutsa, Trita, Dhyumna, Satyavan, Rita, Vrata, Agnishtoma, Atiratra, Pradyumna, Shibi, and Ulmuka. Of the 12 sons, Ulmuka begot 6 sons in his wife Pushkarini. They were all very good sons, and their names were Anga, Sumana, Kyati, Kratu, Angara, and Gaya. Now this Anga, I think, was the father of Vena. And I think he got so disgusted he just took sannyas one day without anyone knowing. And I think that it'll start. See here, Anga. He speaks about Anga. The wife of Anga, Sunita, gave birth to a son named Vena, who was very crooked. The saintly King Anga was very disappointed with Vena's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest. Okay, so the next, we'll stop there. The next verses, text 19 and 20, and it's going to describe okay, so this is leading up. It's summarizing the Vena passage, but then it's going to say more in detail. No, I guess here it is describing it. It's describing the advent of Prithu. So we'll leave that for the next text 19 to 20. You can remember that. I'll put a marker here. Ultimately, yeah. I mean, when you know, that's at the beginning of the universe, so practically everyone is a descendant, you know. Okay. Any final comments or questions? All right. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.